what is Data Factory? So it's a cloud-based ETL tool on Azure public cloud. So nowadays, data engineering is a kind of a broad concept, which I told you, right? It has its own tools and services in every cloud, like Amazon we have, and also Google we have, Microsoft Azure. But when it comes to data and AI space, Azure having a lot of edge when compared to other services, other CSPs. When I say CSPs, cloud service providers. So it has more tight integration when compared to other. I'm not saying that we don't have enough capabilities there. We have in AWS GCP, but compared to other, this is having a lot of tight integrations when it working with the uh, respective data projects, like data warehousing, kind of data munging, data wrangling. There are a lot of tools are available within the Azure stack. So I'll quickly tell you, many of people already aware about what is the different type of services we have in the cloud. So like IaaS, PaaS services, and software as a service. So these left hand side, right, it's a kind of a on-premise kind of a setup where you have to do everything from your side. Okay, starting from storage, service, server, networking, data, and applications. And also when it comes to infrastructure as a service, IaaS, in the cloud, there are certain responsibilities will be taken by the CSP, and only certain things you will be owning it. Like you manage on the left hand side, it is showing, right, the second one left hand side. The virtualization, server, storage, network will be still taken care by the cloud, and you need to work on the runtime environment and set up a middleware, operating system, and application and data you need to do. Similarly, we have the PaaS service. Lot of responsibility given to the CSPs. Very little work we'll be doing on this setup, everything. We focus more on the applications and data. Similarly, the last one, SaaS. Everything will be managed by the CSP. You are going to use the application like Outlook 365 or a Salesforce, something, right? We have that SaaS component. So where our ADF will fall into this category? It will fall under PaaS service. Basically, we have all the runtime and middleware. Everything will be behind the scene will be taken care by the cloud CSP provider, in this case Azure. We'll be more working on writing an applications in designing applications using ADF and connecting to the backend databases to fetch the data, or connecting to the sources to achieve the output. So our ADF will fall into the PAS, PaaS as a service. So as I told you, right, we have so many vendors available in the market, like Microsoft, Amazon, Google. Every cloud it has its own tools, but compared to others, Azure has a lot of edge on data AI space. So that's where we are today here to explore more on the Azure Data Factory, which is under the Microsoft cloud platform. So see, Data Factory, which I told you, right, it's a cloud-based ETL tool. See, there are a lot many services in Microsoft. Every service has their own objective to do what they work. So what are the predominant work ADF will be doing it? Are we going to use ADF for the data migration from on-premise to cloud? If yes, also, that is not the right tool. We have different service to do. But what Azure Data Factory can be used, we need to understand the main objective. So it's a basically will be there at the start of the ingestion area, where it has a lot of capabilities to connect to multiple sources, be it on-premise or a cloud or anywhere. It has 90 plus connectors as of today. The number will keep on change. We have that connector, and if you don't have connector, we can work on the custom connector to the respective source systems, and we can bring the data into data lake storage gen 2. See, before getting into this, the lot of issues we are seeing in the traditional ETL, when I say ETL, extract, transform, and load, right, there's so much time is going on getting the data from the source systems and putting transformation and loading into the table. Till the time we don't get any insights from the for the business. So it is taking a lot of time to extract and transform before getting load data is available for the consumers. So that's where the industry is going on, kind of implementing ELT, just a change. Instead of extract, transform, load, just extract, load, and do the transformation based on requirement. Because as an enterprise level, data analyst will have certain objectives to see the data scientists will have certain ways to do the models, data engineer will have certain kind of use case to develop, and there are so many n number of different requirements. So if you start transforming to meet all these people and load the final target data, it is quite impossible. The data is very fast, it is coming, and we don't have time to do that. So that's where we are trying to dump all the data from sources into this data lake storage gen 2, then start doing the based on the priorities. Data scientists will go and connect to data lake and do the transformations on big data data sets. Also traditional reporting, if someone want to do, we can build a fact and dimension, we can load it for the descriptive analytics for the data analyst. If data engineer want to do some other kind of integrations with other systems, he can go and do the pipeline. So from the data lake, so to bring that huge data, I'm talking about batch data for now. There are different ways of data we get streaming, but uh, ADF is work for the batch kind of pulling the data ingestion pattern. So where it will connect the data sources and will bring the data into data lake storage gen 2. The most predominant use case in any project ADF will use for this purpose as a start point. But these are not only the capabilities, it has a lot more capabilities, and it can work as orchestration tool, and also it has data flows. It's a new, not pretty new, but it is evolving to do the transformations without writing a code. Like we have in a SQL Server integration runtime some drag and drop ETL tools, right? So they're trying to improve this tool also in that way. So people, but there is a limitation for certain use case. It may not possible to manage those kind of complex kind of transformations where we are going to data bricks. But not all the projects will require data bricks also, depend upon use case. So to tell you, ADF will stand in the first point to bring the data as an ingestion tool into the data lake storage gen 2. It can also do the transformations. It can also do a orchestration end to end. So this is the main objective of the ADF as of today. So let's talk about the critical components of data factory. So the building blocks. So we have a pipeline. In a simple word, pipeline is nothing but just chaining the task, right? You will be creating some task and you will be creating some kind of a linking all the tasks in one pipe, right? So that is the kind of a pipeline as a layman term, but it's a data pipeline. So pipeline will have a lot of activities to chain together and to put all the dependencies to flow the data from the one particular source to the target. So this is the critical component. ADF will run pipeline during its execution time. So after within pipeline, we have a task, I told you, right? This we call as activity. So think like that. Maybe the first activity, I will connect to the source systems, I'll bring the data into data lake storage gen 2. After that, I'll create another small activity where I will filter. Maybe I will try to see only the data with respect to country like India or UK or US, right? So I will try to use some filter, some other second activity, and again I will load that data into one other container in the data lake storage gen 2. I will come there what is containers I'm saying, but just think like that of folders. Initially we get into one main folder. After that we'll apply first activity to copy into this folder, one activity. Second activity, read the data from the copied directory and do the filter and put it to another folder. So that is another activity. Like that you can be doing some more activities to chain, to link all this activity will make the pipeline. So and also, sorry, hiding. Okay. 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 So link service. So this is one of the main component. We can think it's a kind of a connection string. So as I told you, right, data factory will connect to the source systems and bring the data, right? To connect the source system, we require the authentic credentials, right? So all the how to connect the systems, right? So we need to have that kind of a connection strings available. This link service will make that provision to connect to the resources. Data set. This is one more. This is another critical component because you are connecting to the data store via link service using credentials, but you don't know the format of the data. It could be file, or it could be in CSV, or it could be in JSON. It could be like semi-structure. We don't know. To understand data factory, what that format of the data set, we need to set up the data set. Data set is a kind of a reference point to the data set in the container. See, storage account is a kind of a data store. To connect to the storage account, we require credentials that link service will do. Once we enter there, in another one folder we have one file will be there, right? That type of all the information, the structure of the data set will be done using the data set. So with this only, a data factory will understand that that is the format of the data. See, pipeline is there, activities are there, link service is there, data set is there. Is data factory will run by its own? No, it requires some computational power, right, to run the data factory pipeline. So that's where we get the integration runtime. Integration runtime is a kind of giving computational power to a data factory to run your pipelines. So it is related to the costing matter because it's a competition. So we have three types of integration runtimes, like self-hosted, Azure integration runtime, SSIS integration runtime. To make it simple for demo, anything you do within the Azure cloud, private cloud, whatever in Azure sites, we'll be using Azure integration runtime. Anything you connect from the on-premise systems, I mean, it could be like a on-premise or a private network to the public, we need to use the self-hosted integration runtime. We need to install that one. And also there is another integration runtime called SSIS integration, where we can run the SSIS packages using integration runtime. Like think like that, I have workloads on-premise, but I want to run through ADF. So using this integration runtime, we can run those packages. So that is the use case. We have some more divisions within this integration runtime. We'll go in detail. To make it clear, without integration runtime, data factory will not able to run, because this is the area it will get the computational power to perform your whatever you design in activities, whatever the data sets you linked, and whatever the pipeline you create, everything will work under beneath using Azure integration runtime. So this integration runtime will be cost, because behind the scene it will take the some kind of computational power, and it will obviously that will give a lot of costing also, right? Depends upon data, how much data you're ingesting, how much data you are transferring, everything will be bound to the cost. You just make a note of it. And also I told you data flows. This is something newly we are evolving much into data flows. Why? Because there are a lot more capabilities they are adding without writing a single piece of a code. We will write some scripts, or we will write some expression kind of a language, but it is very easy. We can achieve some of the complex coding transformations, everything in using these data flows. So in an interview point of view, if a person want to go with as an entry level data factory and some knowledge data bricks, right? So he should be very good in this data flows, because this is the only area where they will focus. You talk about how to do the transformations, and where he or she can showcase that what kind of uh, transformations he has done during his project. Without Databricks also, there are projects I've seen using these data flows, but not all the projects. But I'm just telling about the based upon the person to person perspective. Some person may not comfortable on the coding part, but still he want to transition this area. But yes, they also have this kind of a space to get into there. So I'm moving on to the other thing. So this is the kind of a architecture. I already talked about these things. I don't want to get into much in detail. I just putting everything in one place in a architecture manner. Like top in data factory, and we have a pipeline, and we have one activity here. For that, we have link service. Source is a blob storage account. Using link service, we are connecting the CSV files to bring the data. This will copy this activity, and target is again we are connecting to SQL database to load those data into the data SQL database. So this is where we are using two data sets, two link service, one activity, one pipeline. Everything we will everything these are the activities. So basically they're trying to do some kind of a lookup activity, and do for each iteration they're doing some kind of a copy activity to perform sequence. So this is the kind of a architecture, the main components. Your interviewer will focus more on fundamentals. These are the you should be very clear about these areas before getting into the activities and transformations. Okay, so some people will have some kind of a like understanding. See, in traditional database data warehouse, we'll be doing all the ETL transformations, and we are loading in target. So actually, where this data factory will fall into this area, like in which part of this thing. So just I try to put it actually here without doing any kind of a data bricks or a transformations we can also achieve in this manner based upon use case. If someone want to transition, right, just a workflow kind of a stream. So where ADF can connect to the data sources and it can bring to the data into staging data lake storage gen 2 using data flows. Just make a note that data flows not having capability to connect to the multiple sources. It has a lot of capabilities or few capabilities only connect to the data lake storage gen 2. Before data flows to work on these transformations on data, right, data factory should ingest the data into data lake storage gen 2. That is the first step. So that's the reason we put in the staging area. Then we do all the transformations in using data flows within ADF, like a sort, merge, join, lookup. Finally, we load into the SQL database. All this end to end we can tightly orchestrate using ADF. ADF can run this flow seamlessly and log all the entries of. We have a lot of logging mechanism. We can monitor those things. So let's quickly jump on this portal, how this ADF will look like. One second. So I already created this ADF workspace for one of my personal purpose. So basically, it's a PaaS service. We'll be creating a workspace. Think like that. In any project, you will be maximum create one workspace. Within that workspace, all the team will going to create their own pipelines and everything. So you cannot create multiple workspace as a best practice. You will be creating for per project one workspace, which is in this case our data factory. It's a kind of workspace. Within this, we have a kind of a studio. So like other GUI wise kind of tools, right? So these are the studio kind of in data factory. Most of work will be doing on this studio only. The portal is getting changed very frequently. Maybe some of new options will come in later phase also, but it's already evaluated much when compared to the couple of months back. So this is the home page, this is the author page, this is the monitor page, and this is the manage page. So all your development will be happening in the these panel, and I'm just show you that how this author page will looks. So as I told you, right, these are the pipelines, these are the data set, these are the data flows, there's a Power Query. So think like that. You want to start, I'll show you the capabilities. I'll tour what basically we have things in place in the data factory right now. If someone want to create a pipeline to do some kind of data ingestion transformation, so these are the activities which I was mentioning. Under pipeline, there are so many activities. See, ADF is not only meant for to do only the codeless transformations or ingestion. It has a lot more capabilities. For example, it can move the data from, this is a use case which I already told, right? It can move the data from on-premise to the cloud data warehouse using copy data. And using data flows, it will do a lot of transformations. That is one of things. And also we have Azure functions. We have these kind of things to write simple kind of Azure functions. The use case that someone want to write some